Today, I'm going to show you my top 10 bass lines for Liquid drum and bass. Whether you're a seasoned producer or just starting out, having a strong bass line is the foundation of any drum and bass track. That's why I've compiled my go-to bass lines to help you jumpstart your creativity. These bass lines are universal, so even if you don't make liquid drum and bass, try it with your genre of choice. Also, there's countless tracks that have used these bass lines. However, it's about how you execute the note placement, the key, and the bass preset that makes it unique. By the way, my name is Stranger, and if you want to improve your music production and sound design, especially with drum and bass and dance music, then this channel is for you. Alright, without further ado, let's dive right in to the top 10 bass lines of Liquid drum and bass. Alright, so we're going to be using a project that I worked on in our previous video where I talked about how to make liquid breaks in 2023. If you haven't seen that video yet, you can find it down in the description below. So essentially I built some breaks. I grabbed some vocals from TrackLib to create this liquid track here. So I'll be playing all of the bass lines over this track, and notice how the vibe of the track changes with each bass line, although it's the same track. This is called contextualization. Essentially, you're putting the vocals and track over a different context, and then the mood changes. Fred again brilliantly explains this concept in his latest interview with Zane Lowe. You can check that out. Essentially, a vocal or a sample played under a different context or background sounds will change the entire emotion and depth of the track. You can make a track sound happy or sad or uplifting or moody simply by changing the bass line or chord progression. So here are my bass lines, and each bass line has a different color. You may notice that some of the bass lines have multiple clips here. They're just different variations of the same bass line. So I'll be explaining what that means. The first thing you need to know is how to read the bass line. So you'll see these numbers 1, 3, 5, 6, or for example 1, 4, 3, 7. Essentially, that has to do with the note sequence. And this is very similar to how chord progressions are written. They're using a number notation. And we're using the same notation for bass lines. The most important thing when figuring out your bass line progression is first determining the key of your track. So that's the root note of your track and the scale. Now, all of the bass lines that I've provided today have been written in the minor keys because I just like the minor moody vibe of that scale. So just keep that in mind. However, I'm sure you could also play these in the major scale and they would sound interesting as well. So let's go through how the numbers work. For example, 1, 3, 5, and 6. So if you don't have Ableton, you're going to have to learn your scales or look it up with an online guide. One of the easiest minor scales to learn is A minor because it's simply all the white notes starting from the key of A. So if you play A and go up each white note, you'll find the scale of A minor. So that's A minor. If you have Ableton, then you can simply use the scale feature, choose your key, which is A, and then choose the scale, which is minor, and then click on the scale over here, and it'll hide all the unnecessary notes, and then you can just go up the white keys. So that's A minor. So how this works with the notation is your root note is 1 or so. Don't be confused by the 1 on this key. That's just the number of the octave. So ignore the number here. What I'm saying is A would be 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then once you go back to A, it starts back to 1. So each the minor scale has 7 keys and then it repeats again. Now that you know the numbers for each key, depending on the key, the pattern here, it says 1, 3, 5, 6. That means you can write a progression that's 1, 3 would be here, 1, 2, 3, and then 5 would be here, And then this would be your sixth note. 1, 3, 5, 6. And then just extend the notes so it joins. Now this is a 1-bar pattern. So the length and the positions of the note matter. So this probably will sound too fast. So probably for liquid drum and bass, usually you have longer notes so you can extend this, right? So now it's a 2-bar pattern. I still find that kind of fast for liquid drum and bass, so you can make it 1 bar for each note. So that'll be like this. Now the position of each note matters as well. So this is a very standard position and it's not very interesting. However, I would experiment and encourage you guys to explore with moving the notes. So for example, if you move this note over here, notice how much more funkier it sounds. You could also go 8th note. So over here, I think would be even funkier. You could also try experimenting with this one. You can delay this one. So definitely explore the position of the notes for each bassline progression, because there are only so many bassline note patterns or progressions, and what will make it different is the positioning of the notes. Also, the bass preset that you're using to play the notes will change it as well. So there could be like 100 different tunes that use the same notes, but the way you position them and the bass preset that's playing them is what will make it unique for your track. Today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. If you're a beginner and you want to learn the basics of Ableton and music production, I recommend you to check out my Ableton Essential Exercises on Skillshare. I have a number of classes to help you on your journey. If you're just starting out, then check out my beginners, intermediate, and advanced class on drum programming. Then check out my class on writing bass lines. If you're into breakbeats, then check out my class on chopping breaks. And finally, if you want to get into sound design, then check out my class on the basics of Serum. For those that don't know, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes to help you expand on your creativity and gain new skills. Invest in yourself and your personal growth. If there's a particular skill you want to pick up, then Skillshare is a great place to start. From music production, marketing, graphic design, and social media, there's a number of classes to help you become a more independent artist. One of the classes that really helped me is Learn Piano in 30 Days by Mark Piano the Hide. In this class, I learned the basics of playing keys, and the way Mark teaches makes it accessible for anyone to pick up the piano. Learning basic piano skills has really helped me become a more fluent music producer. The benefit of Skillshare is that there are no ads. The first 1,000 people that use my link in the description will receive 1 month free trial of their premium membership. So check it out, and I'll see you in my class on Skillshare. All right, so here is the first progression, which is 1, 3, 5, 6. Now with my backing track, it's actually written at F sharp minor. So I'm using the scale feature and I'm filtering for F sharp minor. But remember, these can be whatever key that you want for your track. So depending on the key that you're using for your track, the keys for the actual progression will be completely different. So I'm in F sharp minor, so these are the notes for this progression. But if you're writing, for example, in D sharp minor, then these notes will be completely different. So you're gonna have to know how to read the notation and match that with your scale. So this is 1, 3, 5, 6. Let's listen to it on its own. Let's try moving this note across. Much more vibey. All right, the next bass line is 1, 3, 6, 7. Now this one, I have 7 in brackets. What that means is the very fourth note is optional. You can mute it and that will change the vibe of the progression. So let's check out 1, 3, 6, 7 on its own. Notice how this bass line sounds a little more uplifting. Another thing you can do to change up these bass lines is moving the notes up or down the octave. So for example, if you move this, the last 2 notes down, you can go like that. Now, another cool thing is you can add connecting notes. For example, we can add a B here, and that'll change the vibe as well. As I mentioned earlier, the bass preset that you're using to play these notes will also affect the vibe of the bass line. So a popular liquid bass sound is to add a perfect 5th note on top of each root note. So on top of this F sharp, we can also play a C sharp 2 on top, and that's a perfect 5th. And say for the A, we can play the I think the E2 on top, and that'll give it an interesting tone. So I actually have this preset here that's actually doing it in Serum. Essentially, I have 2 sawtooths. The second one is a 7 semitones above. So without it, it's also doing a wobble of the filter. Add the 7 on top. So the confusing thing is a plus 7 semitones is the same thing as perfect 5th. The perfect 5th is always 7 semitones above your root. And this is playing 1 octave below. So this is playing a bass note, and this is playing 1 octave above, plus the 7. So let's listen to this bass line again with this new preset. And I'm going to move this note over here to add some funk. Listen to it now. And exactly, that is the bass line from Together by Logistics. Big up. Okay, there's one more example of this 1, 3, 6, 7. This time we're removing the 4th note. The 7, which is the E, is being removed. So we have F sharp, A, D. And we've moved the notes so the A plays it further down here and the D plays here. Notice how the vibe changes without that 4th note. It's a little more moody and also funkier with the notes delayed to the very last 2 bars. And I got this one from Temperance by Marcus Intellects. The next bass line is 1, 3, 7. So when you only have 3 notes, you're gonna play around because you don't have a 4th note to fill in that 4th bar. So one of these notes have to be longer. Usually, making the last note longer is an interesting and good option. And I got this one from LDJ Bookham, except he's playing it using 808s and with a puncher bass line. So if you have a 808, then you can play multiple notes instead of long notes. So once again, the preset will dictate how the bass line plays out. So if you have shorter bass preset, then you have to fill it in with more notes. But we're playing the long rolling bass, so we can do longer notes. All right, 1, 4, 3, 7. This is a popular bass line progression in drum and bass. Here's the standard notation. Here's if the notes moved a bit, and this one is from Open Page by Lensman. Here's another one with a funkier note position. We have the B delayed all the way here and the E's delayed. And this is from Comics Be True. Let's play it with the other preset. And finally, we can omit the last note, which is the 7. I forgot to put the brackets on the 7 here, but I'll do it after. If you guys want to download all these MIDI clips, I'll leave a link down below. Notice by omitting that last note, the 7 note, it kind of makes the bass line a little more mysterious. Here is bass line 1, 4, 6, 7. Here's a variation where we move this very low B an octave up, and then we move the E across over here. In fact, you can also omit the very last note. Let's hear it like this first. Let's bring that E back and listen to it. The E kind of closes the sentence. It resolves the progression. Here's 3, 4, 1, and we've placed the B note, the second note, a bit further in the progression. Notice the last bass line did not start at F sharp. So although your key is F sharp, the bass line does not need to start at F sharp. It could end there or it could play in between. Or sometimes you may have bass lines that may not even hit that root note. And that's okay as long as it sounds good. So here's another one at 3, 7, 1. So with these basic bassline progressions, you can add more to it. For example, you can add the connecting notes, or you can duplicate it so it's not as repetitive, and then add an extra note. So for example, we can move this note here like that, and now we have this. Notice how vibey it is with this extra note here. Here's another one, 4, 6, 1. The next one is 6, 4, 1, 3. So the 3 is optional. This one, Polaris and I have used in our track Aquarius. You can check it out on Spotify. Here it is. Now, I'd like to make it funkier so we can move the notes like that. And finally, we have 6, 7, 1. This one is actually very popular in drum and bass. I've heard it in a number of tracks. I know Seba has used it in his tracks, but there's countless tracks that use it. I've used it countlessly as well in my Liquid tracks. Remember, add connecting notes to make it funkier. A simple solution is adding the same note but an octave up. So instead of F sharp here, F sharp up here. So those were my 10 bassline patterns you can try in Liquid drum and bass. However, I'd say try them in other genres as well. Even if you're not into Liquid drum and bass, try with rollers, or if you're doing house or dubstep, try with those genres as well. These bassline progressions are universal and can be used in virtually any style of music. So as a bonus, here are two less common ones. They're a bit more moodier and darker. This one's 152. I swear I've heard it in some autonomic or D-bridge track. Notice the contextualization, how it changes the vibe of the vocals and track. Here's 167. And the 6 and 7 are just playing an octave below, so it's going low instead of up. Let's hear how it sounds with these two up here. Alright, so those were all my bassline patterns. Once again, if you want to grab all the MIDI clips for these bassline progressions, you can find it down in the links below. Just remember that these are written in the key of F minor. If you want to change the key, just remove the scale feature and highlight all the keys, and then you can move it up or down the scale. So if you want it at G, just move it up like that, one note up. Or if you want it up at A, then move it up to here. Right? So I hope you guys enjoy these patterns and interested to see what you do with them. Hope you enjoyed learning my top 10 bass lines for writing Liquid drum and bass. Remember, don't just use the bass lines as presented. Try adding your own notes, changing the note placement, key, and bass preset to really make it yours and unique. It's all about how you execute the bass line. If you want to see more videos like these, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. All that helps my channel grow. And if you want to support what I do, I have a number of sample packs, preset packs, and Ableton templates to jumpstart your creativity. For more Liquid drum and bass, you can check my Liquid breaks video up here, where I create a new break from 4 different layers. Also, check this video up here if you want to learn how I make the rolling Liquid bass preset. Anyways, that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, keep practicing, and I'll see you at the next video.